Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. Welcome back to part 2 of midsummer pruning. I'll start today by pruning my asparagus fern. My asparagus fern is just a regular asparagus fern, the kind you would buy in any garden center. But it is quite old. It's over 20 years old now. And every time I repot it, I try and raise it out of the pot a little, so exposing more roots. I've got all the roots combed out now, so you can see how long they are. So I'll give them a wash just to hydrate them, keep them moist, and then we'll try it out in the pot. I'm going to try it out in its new pot and see how it looks. So, I don't know where the front was anymore. Who knows? Yeah, so maybe somewhere there, I think. I don't know. I'll check around for a front. Yeah, it's a pretty big pot for it, but I think it'll be okay. I think it'll look all right. Might give us a little more area for some landscaping. I don't know. I normally prune my asparagus fern to show all the root base and it kind of expose that trunk-like form. But I kind of like this natural weeping style to the tree. So I'm going to try and keep all the branches weeping like this, but kind of prune it so I can see more of the trunk line in the middle here. So you still see that tree-like form, but it still has that kind of weeping branch structure. So this coming up today in the bonsai zone. I'm going to start the pruning by pruning away the branches that are hanging down in front of the trunk, and then I'll see what it looks like. So here I go. I'm just clipping them off at the base. You can start to see a bit of what I call the trunk. It's just the root system. A lot of these branches are all crisscrossed in the structure here. So I think before I get too far with the pruning, I'll try and sort them out. So kind of getting them arranged in a radial cascading pattern. So I'll do that now. I'll just do this operation by hand, just going in, finding each frond or whatever you call these branches and just kind of untangling them so they're not all crisscrossing. I'm going to pick out some of these dead branches that are in the interior of the plant. So I'm just kind of breaking them off, or I can go in and prune them with the shears. These shoots generally last about a year, and then they turn brown and die off. So they're not like permanent branches. So you're always kind of pruning and restyling as it grows. Here's a close-up of the living part of the root system that produces these shoots or branches coming out. And you can see there's nothing growing on the top here, but down at the edges where it kind of the growing edge of this calloused root part, you get all these branches growing out. So you kind of got to arrange it so it still looks like a tree, but it's actually an illusion, I guess. So I'm just rearranging these branches, getting them untangled like that. So they're coming off the root system in a radial fashion. Pruning out the dead wood. These asparagus ferns, they flower, they get little white flowers on them, which develop into like a little red berry, which can cover the whole plant, and it looks really nice. Mine's only flowered in winter so far, but maybe someday I'll have it in flower for a show. I'll turn the asparagus fern back to the front now, and I can start working on the branches. I'm looking at the front of the tree now, checking out what branches are hanging down and deciding what to prune away. I don't want it to look too obvious that you can only see in from the front, so I may keep some of these smaller branches hanging down in the front so you can still get a view of the trunk, but You know, you kind of have to look side to see it maybe. So I'm going to try pruning some of these branches off shorter first, to here and to here, so they still have some cascading, some weeping look to them, but you can still see in at the trunk. Now there's a really low one here that comes off and it just hangs down off the pot. I think I've got to get rid of that. It's just, yeah, unusable. So like that. And there'll be new shoots. You can see there's a new one growing in right here. They, in summertime, they pop out everywhere. So I've even totally defoliated the asparagus fern and it comes back very quickly. So some of these cascading ones, I don't want any of them cascading below the lip of the pot. So I'm going to prune them off shorter. Like that. Maybe even a little shorter to here. Like that. Some of these, there's one sticking out the side here that needs pruning back, so I'll just have to prune it off to here. Like that. There's one growing from the bottom that's hanging over the pot. That'll just have to be pruned off. I'm coming around to the right hand side now and just, again, just pruning off these branches that are hanging down too low. Removing some of these really low ones. Just have to find the base of the branch. I'm around the left hand side now and I'm just pruning those branches back. Pinching these new shoots doesn't really work well. If you pinch the shoot as it's emerging, pinch the tip off, generally that shoot just dies back. It goes brown and dies. You have to wait until the shoot's extended almost fully and then you can prune off the tip. So you have to wait till some of these leaves have come out on the branch and then you can cut or pinch off the tip. But when it's in that, you know, juvenile stage where it's just sort of a cylindrical tip coming out, if you pinch the tip off, generally the branch dies back. So definitely not the ideal subject for bonsai, but we make it work if we can. So that's getting better. A few weeds here I can pick out. And now I need to go around the back of the tree. There's a lot of foliage hanging down at the back, so I'll turn the tree around and we'll look at that. So there's the back of the tree. You can see it's quite dense back here. I think I'll need to prune off some of these lower branches. Yeah, they're just too low. This one too. There's one in here, like that, and one here. That gets that sorted out a lot better. That one's got to go. It's an old branch. There's a dead one in here. Look at that. That one's got to go. And that one. So that cleans up the back quite a bit. Now some of these branches are hanging down a little low, so I'm going to prune those back so you can see in at the roots a bit. Yeah, so you can see here's some new shoots forming and the leaves are just starting to come out on them, so I can pinch the tips on those. So I'll just pinch the tip off like that and here, and they should develop fine. They won't extend anymore. All right, I'll turn the tree back around to the front now and see how it's looking. I'm looking at the tree from the front now and I can see a little bit of cleanup work I need to do. There's a branch kind of coming from the front and going off to the left-hand side that needs to be removed. And I think I could raise the canopy a little more at the front, so I'll do that now. Here's a view from the front now. So it's looking much better. I think I've got to cut back this one shoot here. And the rest isn't bad. I kind of like the low, wide-spreading canopy. It looks very like a tropical tree. I could clean up that left-hand side branch just a little bit. Yeah, I like that. I think it's looking very nice. The tree does need watering, so now that I can get in there a little more easily, I can give it a good watering and fertilizing. One thing I like about this plant is when I bring it to a bonsai show, very, very few people can guess what it is. They've never seen anything like this before in their lives. So it's kind of a, it tests the experts. Yeah. I've added some fertilizer to my water, so now I'll give it a good watering. So here I go. I'll get in all under here, give it a good soaking, go all the way around the plant. After I watered the plant, some of these branches are wet and they're drooping a little close to the ground, so I'm going to prune them back a little further. So here I go. I'll take this one right off, like that. Prune this one back shorter. Take some of these small branches back like that. Actually, I could probably take that one right off. I will. Like that. There's a look at the front of the asparagus fern. I think that looks much better. It's looking quite good, and it looks like a tree to me. It's for what it is. Don't tell anyone. It's an asparagus fern, but yeah, I think there'll be a lot of people who will ask me what kind of tree this is at the bonsai show. So it could change quite a bit in the next month. There'll be all kinds of new shoots coming out, but I'll just keep, you know, pinching them when they get a little more mature and shaping the tree. So it should look pretty good for showtime. It's time now for today's updates. The first tree for today's update is in the greenhouse, and it's my bougainvillea bonsai. It's just a young tree, but it's in flower, so let's go in and have a look at it. Here it is here. Looking rather colorful. This bougainvillea is the one that I'm going to style like the Avatar home tree, so a tall upright trunk with sort of a flat top crown on it. It'll really show off those flowers and kind of look maybe almost alien, I don't know. So it's growing really well, and it's got a beautiful set of flowers on it. The next update for today is introducing a new tree. This is a Bert Davies ficus. It's new to the bonsai zone. When I got it, it had very few leaves on it. So I've had it in the greenhouse here, and I've been watering and fertilizing it. And new growth is starting to come out, and it's starting to pop out all over. So I think the tree's on the road to recovery. So it'll be an exciting tree. I can see a giant root in there that I'll be cutting off in the future. I can't have that. And yeah, it's kind of an unusual looking trunk on it. I think it's going to take a lot of work. But for now, I'm just trying to get the health of the tree, you know, back so it's got a canopy of leaves and is doing well. And then the styling will come later. Another tree we can look at is my Princess Earrings bonsai. I repotted that in a fairly recent video. So it's looking really good now. It looks kind of like a flat top acacia. So I repotted it, and all the leaves on it started wilting and falling off, and I thought, oh my goodness, I think I just killed the tree. So I went back and looked at the video, and you know, to see how much root did I cut off. I didn't think it was that much. So I looked and I thought, well, it should be able to handle cutting off that one root. It wasn't like I removed the entire root system.
So after all the old leaves fell off, then it started popping out with new leaves all over. So it did not like repotting, but it didn't kill the tree or anything. It just sulked for a while and then just bloomed with all kinds of new leaves and shoots coming out all over. So it's looking quite good now. I'm quite happy with it. My Portulacaria afroforest that I repotted fairly recently, it was, I kind of pruned the top a bit and repotted it all. Every tree, I separated them all. And it looks like it's growing really well. There's all kinds of new leaves coming out all over the canopies now. So I'm quite happy. All is looking well with this forest. Now, it will need a lot of landscaping coming up, but that'll be coming up in a future video as it gets closer to showtime. I had a nice visit today from a couple from Romania, so thanks for coming to the Bonsai Zone. I enjoyed the visit. Here's a look at my Norfolk Island pine forest. It's doing really well after the repotting. You can see I have a rock kind of straightening that one tree up there, but yeah, lots of new growth on top. All the trees are looking nice and healthy. So I'm glad they all made it. That's all for today. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.